The Simply Successful program offers stress management tools for the lifespan, so small children, adolescents, or adults can be simply successful.
Hello, I'm Deb Timmerman.
And Beth Tuttle. Welcome to the Simply Successful program. We teach stress management skills that build resilient kids,
Create successful families, and build thriving communities. Today, our guest is Theresa Mosley. She is the owner of Mosley School of Cosmetology. She's the host of the Theresa Mosley Show on Magic 104.9 and mega entrepreneur. She's also a mom of 6. Thanks for joining us today, Theresa.
Hi. Excited to be here.
Okay, Theresa, I met with you a few months ago, and
Yes.
you shared your story and all of the challenges that you went through
Definitely.
growing up. So I wanted you to share your story with the listeners because I think a lot of them could relate, and some of them might feel stuck or feel they can't live up to these dreams or become an entrepreneur. So I think your story will inspire them.
Where do you want me to start? It's a long story.
Well, give us the brief version.
Yes, the highlights.
So, well, basically, I grew up in Saginaw, Michigan. I was born in Chicago, and my mom left my father because he was abusive. But, she was a little on the crazy side, I should say. So, but we moved to Saginaw, Michigan, and I was one of 7 kids, the second oldest. And growing up with my mom was like a rocky roller coaster that you never knew was going to fall off the track. So one thing that was so hard for me is growing up, and basically when I grew up, I always felt unloved and unwanted. And that basically stemmed from my mom. Basically, she had a lot of depression problems, and she always was leaving us. Like, as a lot, she would pack all her stuff, she'll put it in the car, and she'll say, I'm leaving. And I just remember having such a deep fear of, oh my gosh, she's leaving us, like, what I'm going to do? Like, I remember just being so young, trying to plan, okay, what I'm going to do if she leave us, and just being so in fear. And my mom was a party girl. Like, I even loved to party, but she partied all the time. Like, I remember not being able to sleep because she would have her 1,000-watt boombox booming throughout the house, meaning the police knocking on the door, like, can you turn it down? The neighbors are, complaining. And I still remember when I was in the 4th grade, and I was having such a hard time learning. First of all, most people didn't understand that I wasn't even getting a sound sleep at night, if I even got a few hours in at night. And I still remember, at some point in my education in the 4th grade, they decided that I wasn't smart enough to be in the regular ed classroom anymore.
So, Therese, nobody asked what was going on at home?
Nobody asked me, no. I still remember they had a meeting with her, and then one day they told me, they said, you know what, we have a different class for you. And I still remember them walking me down to that special ed classroom. And, that classroom probably was the same size of every other classroom, but for some reason, that class just seemed so small. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, why are they giving up on me? Like, you know what I mean? I knew I wasn't retarded, because that's how I felt at the time. Like, they must think I'm retarded or slow. Like, I literally can't sleep at night. And my biggest problem was comprehending when I was reading. I was so tired, couldn't comprehend nothing, because I probably couldn't even get my mind, in order to even think or process any thoughts. And that right there, I think, was such a blow to my confidence, to my self-esteem, for not only your parent, but other leaders in the community, like your teachers and people you look up to. And in the 4th grade, being so young, like, dang, they gave up on me.
So, like, you got a label.
Yeah.
You got labeled.
Special ed. Not only was it special ed, but it was a self-contained class, and most people don't understand that. That is when you're in one classroom all day. You don't get to move to the other different classrooms. At that time, they was moving them. You'll go here, then there. They start switching. We just stay there all day. I remember being so bored in there. I'm like, I used to be running my mouth. But anyway, good thing came out of it. from talking too much. She made me write my timetables all the time, so I am excellent at math. But going back to my home, like I said, my mom, she was always leaving us, and that's just such a horrible feeling, to feel unwanted, even at such a young age. And because my mom was an alcoholic and a partier, she always had people over, or it was just always a lot of dysfunction. And on top of dysfunction, she'll come home drunk, and sometimes she would want to beat us. She would beat us. And I just remember, you know, even as a kid, my process would be like, oh, well, good thing she gave us a food stamp $1. Because in the morning she would wake up and she'd be like, you guys, I'm sorry, or whatever. Here go a food stamp $1. And I just was like, oh, well, at least I got a food stamp $1 out of it. But that's just how dysfunctional it was. But I remember not even being 12 yet and just feeling like giving up on life. Like, man, I don't know if my life can ever get any better. At that point, I was constantly trying to protect my siblings, trying to protect my home, trying to make sure my mom didn't give all the money away, all of our bills were paid. Like, I had all these responsibilities, and I wasn't even 12.
So
but
a 12-year-old adult.
Right. And I always was a bold person. Like, I didn't care about telling a dog, look here, you're not getting my mom debit card, you know, because she's drunk and she want to give you her debit card so you go spend her money. I'm like, our bills got to get paid. And I just still remember, like, not being liked. Like, people, oh, she thinks she, you know, because they didn't like me because I had to step in. And just basically going back into, you know, she will always threaten to leave us. But the worst part of my life is, and I went through a lot, it's not enough time to give it all to you, but was when one day my mom, you know, she sat us down. She stopped buying food, and I remember being so hungry, like, literally, like, acid filling up in my stomach, throwing up, like, not no, like, man, like, why you ain't buying us no food? And then one day she came home and she was like, she pulled us all in, and she was like, and I was the oldest, and I was 14 years old. My sister already had ran away when she was 12 years old, who was a year older than me. And I just remember she told us, she said, I want y'all to know every man for themselves. Every man for themselves. And I was only 14 years old, meaning that my other sister was, because we was all behind, she was 13. And then we had a 12-year-old. My brother was only 11. And, you know, younger and younger. Probably the youngest probably was 7 years old. And she left. She really kept her promise. All those stress, all that fear, she actually left us.
So what did you do?
I survived. That's what I did. I did things that I wouldn't recommend or want anybody to do. I remember, like, being so hungry, and we would walk to the Total Life Center, which was a place that would give you, like, food. It was like a food pantry, but they would only give you so much little food, and you only could go once a week. I used to have to stand in front of the store. It was a store called M&D's, and I used to beg for money, and I used to sweep up that parking lot, and he would pay us $5, the owner of the store. Me and my brother, we would just beg, like, can we get some money? I mean, and, you know, I remember sometimes being so hungry, and I had all these little kids, and I was like the oldest, and it was no other adults. I don't know where everybody was at or why nobody didn't pay attention to their mom gone and there's no adults there. But I remember, like, just taking my siblings, and it's nothing that I'm proud of, but just trying to survive, and, like, taking them to the store and, like, having to just steal stuff. You know, I'd be like, okay, you get this, because I didn't have any adult, I didn't have anything, I didn't have any money, and I wasn't old enough to get a job. But I did everything I could in my power to get money, like breaking leaves, and I used to cut grass and anything that I could do. But unfortunately, only being 14 and people turning you down, and like I'm out there like constantly trying to hustle and get food. Well, at some point, the house ended up getting condemned because she obviously wasn't paying the rent and the bills. So somebody came along and said, hey, you need to get out. And then she called the city, and the house ended up getting condemned. So she came and got us, and she took us over my cousin's house. And so you move from one place to the next, and you always feel unwanted, unloved, right? Because you're nobody's responsibility. And she dropped us off over there. My cousin was only in her early 20s. She already had about 4 kids of her own. And, you know, it's me and my siblings, and I'm trying to take care of my siblings. Well, at least, you know, they eating now, and they, you know, but, and then just from one place to the next, to the next, to the next. Well, just going through the journey, like I said, I've been with my husband ever since I was very young. I ended up getting pregnant. And I ended up getting pregnant with my first child. And I was only 15 years old, about 14, 15. And I remember having the baby. And we were still just moving from house to house. Same cycle, unwanted, unloved. You're nobody's responsibility, so you're a burden on everybody. And I remember having the baby and just, the baby died 18 days later. Oh. And I just remember just feeling just so crushed. You know what I mean? Because we was living in my aunt's house. My aunt had 17 people living there because she was the type of aunt that's like, oh, you want to move in? Come on in, you know, and everybody come in. And so my mom wasn't there. It was her, all her kids, and everybody else that she let move in from the community. And anyway, I think that was like just a horrible moment for me right there. Just the whole time span of that just was a horrible moment. And I just remember like my cousins and them teasing me, that's why your baby died. Oh. Like, I mean, I have been so mentally abused growing up. Not only people telling me I'm ugly, I'm retarded, I'm not smart enough, I'm not cute enough, I don't get what it takes to make it. But then on top of that, you have something like that so horrible happen to you at such a young age, and people make fun of you for it. You know, not good enough to call me ugly, black, too bumpy face, too this and that. But now you tease me because I had a baby that died. And I just remember just feeling so broken. Like, it just makes me feel like to cry. Because, you know, when I talk about it, those same emotions come up, just feeling so broken and unloved.
I don't know how you're feeling listening to this, listeners, but it moves my heart and it makes me want to cry. Because there are a lot of kids out there in the world who are still experiencing what Therese experienced growing up. And her story is so powerful and so life-changing. We're going to bring this to you in 2 segments. So this is the first of 2 segments. This is the what happened. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about how she healed, how she moved forward, and how she got to where she is today. You can find our stress-relieving tips on our website at simplysuccessfulprogram.com, and stay tuned for part 2 of the Theresa Mosley story.